Biafra, superstars, media.
My people, my people. My people, my people. What is happening? Oh, getting there, man, my people. What did they happen? What is happening to my people? My people, today I will come on three perspectives. One on Nnamdi Kanu, one on Yaya Bello, and one on the Deputy Prime Minister of the United States of Biafra. My fellow Biafrans, when are we going to wake up? Those that said they were promised by the caliphate, Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Today, my people, I want to speak as well on the Deputy Prime Minister, like I've said, Dr. Ngozi Orabueze. My people, we have to wake up. We have to wake up. Simon Ekpa cannot make mistake. The Obatobia I know does not make mistake. If he chooses you or chooses you as a chief of staff, it means you have a big responsibility to deal with. My people, in this analysis, I will call out on those who say Nnamdi Kanu will be released by Christmas. They were promised by the caliphate. They were promised by the Igbo politicians. They were promised by the governors. They were promised by Bianca Ojukwu. They were even promised by the wife of Nnamdi Kanu, Uchechi Kanu. They were promised. They were promised. They were promised. Today, I will show you that he who goes a-begging goes a-sorrowing. He who goes a-begging goes a-sorrowing. Person, when they go, they beg. As they go beg, they tell a sorrowful story. In their state of pity, they beg, please, we need help. Ah, Lord have mercy. Those of you who have tarnished the image of Nnamdi Kanu and the Biafrans, today I will call out on you. I will show you how it's done by the cabal. The cabal, you see, they don't go to school. I will show you how it's done in that zoo called Nigeria. I will show you the language that the cabal and the Fulani headsmen, those in government, they understand. Without any much further ado, listen to Nnamdi Kanu, then I'll come back. Listen.
Investigate.
Listen.
A president is alive, gunshot inside where he's living. He didn't come out with his wife and children to investigate. And all of you, 200 million idiots, complete morons. You are there. You're looking sheepishly like a bunch of white. In fact, a hyena is better than all of you. Why do I even... Can you manage my makeup?
Oyendo, wait, please, wait. You see, Oyendo, people of today, they will be assuming you made a mistake when you said Buhari is dead and was buried in a shallow grave. Oyendo, with my level of information, my level of knowledge, my level of having inside information, I concur with you 100%. And I will continue to concur and agree with you. The idiots, the imbecile they made, or they celebrated his so-called 82nd birthday, that wasn't Buhari. We know the real Buhari where we see him. A man who was drying up like a bunga fish. A man whose teeth was rough, his eyes, face was gone. Hunger, poverty, old age. Suddenly, the one we are seeing here is like a bouncing baby boy. Oyendo, the naysayers might get confused, but men like me, I know you're real when I see one. I know you are right, Oyendo. Continue. That's for the naysayers. For those who are thinking we made a mistake when we said that bunga fish is no more. We know that the real Buhari was buried in Saudi Arabia in a shallow grave. But they want to maintain the status quo. They want to make Nigeria remain calm. That's why they are doing what they are doing. They want to make Nigeria, their zoo country, to remain calm. We know the game they are playing. But technically, they are doing what they are doing to keep the zoo calm. Continue, Oyendo Pico. Continue.
If I want to interact, that is why I don't go to parties. I don't do anything. Because the way we reason is laughable. If I want to interact with true Africans, I go to wildlife safari park. At least if I see a zebra, a chimpanzee, those are our true Africans. We can mingle together. Maybe I can understand them better. Because at least if they see danger, they can run. All of you see danger and you keep embracing it. Keep embracing it. Look at Imo State. How many people in Imo State? Over 5 million. Somebody came forth in an election. They pushed him to number 1. Everybody is just like this. Even some bishops want to go and congratulate him. Some people said, hey, don't touch him. Oh. He's our man. Hey, let's move him forward. These are black people. Backward. Useless. When they kill in America, he said, hey, it's racism. Racism. You are a fool. That's not like racism. They are killing you because of your natural stupidity.
You're 100% right. You're right. You see, these people, they are deaf, dumb, and blind. They are stupid. They are foolish. The way they reason is shallow. And it is for us to give them freedom. We that have eaten what they call the forbidden fruit, it is for us, Oyendo, to give them freedom. Because even the one they made from number 4 to number 1, Oyendo, the next one he did, there was no contest. He stole the whole election. Until this day, those in Imo State, the old Imo State, they have refused to speak out. Our people are lame. Oh, God. Poverty has messed them up. Poverty has turned them inside out. Poverty has turned them to beggars. And as the saying goes, Oyendo, a beggar has no choice. Very, very sad. But that's the case, Oyendo. Let's continue.
In nature, you are stupid as a black person. Do you have running water? Without maybe solar charger and generator, will you be watching me now?
Hey!
Are you not ashamed of yourselves?
They are not.
Are you not ashamed?
They are not.
But UNN has engineering department, electrical engineering, electrical and electricals, all are rubbish.
It's all nonsense. Because I keep saying this. I went to see, when I was in that zoo, I went to visit my friend who was into computer science, or is it computer engineering? Computer science. And Oyendo, in the front of the lecturer was a dead computer that is not even on. They were learning computer science in theory. They were learning Fortran, the language of the computer. They were discussing algorithm and Fortran language. How to communicate with the computer, Oyendo. But there was no practical aspect of it. All I saw was theory. The lecturer was writing on the board. If A is equals to B and B is equals to C, A means stop and C means stop. If AB is equals to 1 and B2 is equals to 1, A means 1, 2 means 1. In that case, 1 is on and 2 is on. Binary language. They were discussing Fortran in theory. But children in the Western world, from childhood, you give your children computers, Android, smartphones, tablets, to help to quench their inquisitive mind, or to help to explore and exploit their inquisitive mind. That's how it's done in the Western world. But in that shithole, God-forsaken, dirty, gutter country, people in University Oyendo, They were studying computer science in theory. I was in that class for 2 hours with my friend, and I felt I was in a God. I felt somebody was teaching me Mandarin or something because it was strange. How could they cope? Theory, computer theory. Oyendo, please continue.
What has it? Uniben has it everywhere. Electrical and electrical engineering. Whatever that rubbish means, I don't know. Electrical and electronics.
Yes. E and E.
That is not right. The reason why they sent you to school to go and study electrical engineering is so that when you come out, there will be no more power shortage in the village. That's the reason why. So you don't know.
Local champion.
Hey.
They become a local champion. Oyendo. They call them, what can be Abia? NEPA don't take light from this place. There is no wire from point A to point B. Can you help us to do rewiring? Oh, God. Somebody who claims to be an electrical/electronic engineer will be carrying wire to wire, joining wire to wire. NEPA don't cut lights, wire don't burn, cable don't burn down. They will say you to go and tap the wire. A shithole is a shithole, my God. A pig will remain a pig, no matter how well you paint it. A pig will remain a pig. A backward nation will remain a backward nation. People living in Stone Age, they will always love making fire with woods and flintstone. That's the nature. And when they see people coming to liberate them, they will call us the enemy because they feel good. They enjoy living in a backward society. They enjoy the dark age. They enjoy poverty. They shout up NEPA. In the 21st century, people are still shouting up NEPA. When they get an epileptic supply of electricity, twice or in 2 hours, under 24 hours, 1 hour of light, and they shout up NEPA. In my mother's womb, I was hearing up NEPA, up NEPA, up NEPA. In my mother's womb, I was hearing that. Facts. Until I left that shithole called Nigeria. Even on my way to the airport, leaving that shithole, God-forsaken country, I was hearing up NEPA. At the airport, up NEPA. You are taking a flight as you are leaving that shithole called Nigeria. There is darkness everywhere in the landscape. Until you get to Europe, where you start seeing light everywhere. Until you get to the Americas, you think you are in heaven. You see how beautiful light is from a mile away. You are right. You are not wrong, sir. You are right.
A bunch of monkeys. So you think you studied electrical, is it electronics and electrical? I don't know what they call
E and E.
Electrical to come out and be pushing wheelbarrow, driving.
Aye! Bunch of monkeys, chimpanzees, and baboons. Drinking monkey blood. Bunch of imbeciles. Oyendo, I call them the dead bones. Or the dry bones. In the Bible it says though, the only luck they have is, in the Bible it says, and I quote, dead bones shall rise again. That was the only promise given to the people of God by God himself. That the dead bones or the dry bones shall rise again. Those they give kwashoko, dry bones, they will rise again. And Oyendo, we have come to make them rise. Resurrection, resurrector. That's our job. That's a task that must be done. And because we love our people, we shall resurrect the dry and dead bones again. That's the grace they have. It was written in your Bible, in the scriptures, that dry bones will rise again. That's your only grace. If not, someone like me, I would just be here in the Western world enjoying the best of life and have this I don't care attitude about you people, because you guys, you disgust me. You disgust me with a passion. Oh, Lord, have mercy. Dry bones shall rise again. Dry bones shall rise again. Dry bones shall rise again, yo. Dry bones shall rise again. Dead bones will 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 rise again. Oyendo, that's our prayer. That's the only prayer we can make for a people who are stubborn. Ishike, stubbornness. They are deaf, they are dumb, they are blind to the truth. If not that the God of Biafra loves them. And he placed it in the scripture that the dead bones will surely rise again. The rising sun is back. Those of us that left them because we felt they were slowing our time, we have come back. Like the story of the prodigal son, who came back to the house of his master or his parents to put things in order. That's the story they won't tell you. They told you, oh, he was being stubborn. He left. And in his state of, squalor and the rest of them, he was sorrowful. In a state of sorrow, he then remembered home. No, that's not the real story of the prodigal son. He went to test his limitation in the Western world. And when he learned the ways of the foreigners. He was able to master the ways of the Western world. He then turned around like the Sankofa bird and chose to come back home to uplift his people. Dead bones shall rise again. He came to rise up the dead bones in his fatherland, in the land of Biafra. We have come back to uplift the people, to uplift mankind, to uplift the children of God. Let's continue. Oyendo.
This UG. I'm black.
Black.
You people are a disgrace.
Black man.
Maybe God made a mistake letting black people. It's a disgrace.
This UG. Black. Hold it there. This is the words of our leader, Nnamdi Kanu. This is the man that suddenly IPOB Nigeria Limited, IPOB political wing, the so-called politicians from the so-called Southeast, Bianca Ojukwu, the wife of Nnamdi Kanu, they went around begging the caliphate to release a man who has done no crime, a man who spoke the truth, a man who spoke truth to power, a man who exposed them, a man who lifted up their skirts to expose the nakedness of the caliphate. And somehow, the deaf, dumb, and blind, you believed your oppressor. You believed that the enemy, you believed the devil will release Nnamdi Kanu before Christmas Day, if and only if you give them the head of Simon Ekpa. And somehow, you felt it was okay to give your Moses and your Joshua to Pharaoh with the hopes that once Joshua is conquered, there will be no need for your Moses anymore, and Pharaoh will now release Moses. In this case, Moses, Nnamdi Kanu, and Joshua is Simon Ekpa. You assume that if you can curtail the activities of Joshua, take him to Pharaoh, then Pharaoh will be so pleased to release Moses and keep hold of Joshua. But the mistake you guys are making is that Moses was the one that came to Pharaoh and told Pharaoh to let his people go. Moses was the one that made the Israelites in Egypt to realize they were in captivity. Moses was the one to open the eyes of the Israelites in Egypt, which made them to be aware that they were in bondage. So the biggest prize for Pharaoh is to punish that one, is to lay hold of that one that opened the eyes of the children of God. Yes, he had a Joshua. Yes, there was an Aaron assisting him and the rest. But the ultimate prize is Moses. Because to them, if there was no Moses, then perhaps the people of God will still remain in bondage in Egypt and walk from sunup to sundown in Egypt. If there was no Moses, then perhaps there will be no need for a Joshua to rise. So for you out there thinking that, oh, somehow the Igbo politicians, or Haneze Ndi Igbo and the rest of them, they have cut a deal to release Nnamdi Kanu before Christmas. But part of the deal is to blackmail Simon Ekpa. And because you all feel, okay, Simon Ekpa is from the old Ebonyi state. Technically, you guys don't see him as one of you. You guys don't see him as one of those that should champion the freedom of the people of God. Instead, you have chosen to blackmail your brother. And you believed the caliphate. You believed the devil. That they will somehow release Nnamdi Kanu if you blackmail your brother, Simon Ekpa. Today, I've got news for you. Because there is only one language that the caliphate they understand. In that zoo, there is something called the rule of law, but we the Biafrans will never enjoy it. And those Yorubas that believe in the Yoruba nation will never have a taste of it. I want to show you how the Fulani cabals they roll. The one they call Yaya Bello, a man who they said he stole 80 billion plus in their local zoo currency known as Naira. I want to show you how they roll in Nigeria. For those out there who think, oh, the Biafrans are the problem, the Biafrans are the stubborn ones. Let me show you how they roll in Nigeria. They are above the law. When it comes to the so-called law, they are above it. Nobody from the Fulani Caliphate can be held responsible, can be made to pay for their sins. They are above the law. If you doubt me, let me show you how they roll. Let me show you how Yaya Bello is rolling right now. If you're ready, let's go there. Watch this. Are you seeing what I'm saying? I doubt it. One more time. Are you seeing what I'm seeing, my people? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? That's the question I'm asking. Are you seeing what I'm seeing here? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Are you seeing what I'm seeing, my people? Hold it there. The man you're seeing in the middle is the one-time governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, a man who they said he was the so-called most wanted man. I was just laughing. Today, he's been worshipped by his people. He's been adored by his people. He was granted bail in their so-called court. And people still love him. A criminal. Someone they said he's a criminal, that he stole billions. He stole billions as a governor. They claimed he was the most wanted. But look at him here, living like a king. Living life like a king. And you tell me you believe in Nigeria. You say God bless Nigeria. You say Nigeria go better. You say you believe in that thing called Nigeria, where the rich, where members of the caliphate, they are above the law. Look at them, rejoicing, jubilating. Lord have mercy. Nobody can stop them. Nobody can take them to task. Nobody can hold them accountable. They are above the law. But if this governor was a Biafran man, by now you will see him on his singlets and shorts in custody, begging to drink water, being humiliated, all his property seized, his wife and children held in custody, forcing them to give them the bank accounts of where all the money was, all his houses seized, his business seized, his relatives sent to jail, locked up. And you tell me you believe in Nigeria. In their own case, they don't have to go and beg the caliphate to have a deal for a bail. In his own case, nobody had to go and bow down to beg or to sabotage somebody else. That's not the way they roll in Nigeria. The caliphate, they are above the law, my people. They are above the law. That's why we say we are done with Nigeria, because we, the Biafrans, we are too clean to be living a life like this. We are whiter than white and whiter than snow. This is not our culture, where they respect you and love you when you are into criminality. That's not who we are. That's not who we are. Which was why we said we want out. This was why we said we're done with Nigeria. And this was why Biafra was redeclared on the 29th of November, 2024. Lastly, my people, for those who are trying to distract the Chief of Staff, the Deputy Prime Minister of the United States of Biafra, Dr. Ngozi Orabueze, for the previous cabinet members who are trying to distract the good job of our sister, Dr. Ngozi Orabueze, I want you to know that you are now a stumbling block in the Biafra movement. I want you all to know that for the sake of power, for the sake of money, for the sake of privilege, you have chosen to become a stumbling block in the affairs of Biafra. It means all this while you never trusted Simon Ekpa. It means all this while you never trusted or believed in Simon Ekpa. Because if you believe in Simon Ekpa, it means you will believe or trust his judgment. As long as Simon Ekpa made Dr. Ngozi Orabueze his chief of staff, it means she is the apex. She is the one that looks into the affairs of all the other staffs. She is the chief of staff. For the fact that was the call of Simon Ekpa. That was the judgment of Simon Ekpa. You people have no right to go against it. All I can say is, if you have your concerns, you wait until Simon Ekpa is back with us. But don't blame Dr. Ngozi Orabueze for being chosen as the chief of staff, because as her role, she is second in command in the absence of a deputy prime minister. So don't blame her. for reorganizing her cabinet. Don't blame her for reshuffling her cabinet. She needs to pick those that she feels she can work with. Or she means you need to pick those under the assignment of Simon Ekpa. So if you feel like what she is doing is wrong, don't blame her. Blame it on the one that chose her as his chief of staff. That's all I'm saying. Allow peace to reign. This is the third week. We are entering the third week that I gave you all. That after the third week, I may have to release the beast in me and expose those people who are trying to set back this amazing new country called Biafra. I'm calling upon you guys to shield your sword and get back to your tents. You will be very, very selfish if the only time you are allowed to rule or support Biafra is when you have an office, a portfolio. It's when you are made a minister or a secretary. That's the only time you feel it's all good for you to support Biafra. That's a selfish interest there. So at this point, my people, I want us to hear the message from our Deputy Prime Minister. If you like, you can call her Chief of Staff. That's your business. If you like, you can call her the acting Prime Minister. That's your business. But all I know is in the hierarchy of things, in the absence of a Prime Minister, the next person that steps in is a Deputy Prime Minister. And in a case where there is no Deputy Prime Minister, your Chief of Staff automatically, I repeat, automatically assumes the position of a Deputy Prime Minister or an acting Prime Minister. That's how things are done here in the Western world. Most of you causing this problem, you are based in the Western world. So my question is, why are you doing this? Why now? Why are you not trusting the decision of Simon Ekpa? Why are you not trusting the judgment of Simon Ekpa for making Dr. Ngozi Orabueze his Chief of Staff? If you're not happy about it, when Simon Ekpa is freed, you all can go to Simon Ekpa and say, please, is it possible for you to change your Chief of Staff? You guys can lay down your grievances against her, but right now, she is the one handling the affairs. Right now, the authority is upon her to do what she's doing. So please, for the last time, this is the third week of grace I gave you guys. By Christmas, that grace will be over. So without any much further ado, I want us to listen to our Deputy Prime Minister again. If you are ready, let's go there. Listen.
Parading this government or using this government as a backing to commit your atrocities. If you do not support this United States of Biafra under my leadership, as Obatobie has said it, you need to stop using our logo. You need to go form your own government. You need to stop parading yourself as a state or as a member of United States of Biafra. That is the freedom you have. But you do not have the freedom to use our logo, use our name, use our people, use our Twitter handles to go and parade lies that will bring division in this government. This United States of Biafra is fully intact. It's only one country that we have. Those of you that do not believe in that, you are free to leave. You are free to go. But make sure you're not using anything that is bearing our Prime Minister's name or anything that our Prime Minister has established. Be sure you are not using that. That is what I'm telling you. Be sure you are not using any Twitter handle that our Prime Minister is aware of. Any name, any logo that belongs to the United States of Biafra, to the Biafra Republic government in exile, to the de facto government. Make sure you are not using that. You are free and you have the power and you have the right to walk away. But anywhere we get you using anything that belongs to the United States of Biafra or Briggy or de facto, Biafrans are going to come after you. for our defense. The only authorized arm for the United States of Biafra defense at this time is the Department of Defense headed by our own Solomon Nkwocha and the Deputy Onyami. And then we have the people on ground. We have our angels that are doing the needful, that are working closely with the United States of Biafra defense team. If you know you are a defense team for the United States of Biafra, you must align yourself, with the Biafra Defense Department headed by Solomon Nkwocha. If you're not doing that, then you are on your own. Again, the state administrators, the 40 state administrators, please be on the lookout for all those infiltrators in your states. And do not hesitate to bring it to the attention of the government. Any individual or group that uses the name of this government in any meeting, in any form, anywhere. We will continue to expand our angels guarding our land against the reintegrated terrorists sent by the Nigerian President Tinubu, Hope Uzodinma Soludo and co. They know they do not have any right to assemble terrorists in uniform in our land and label them security. We are a nation with all the criteria met. So any terrorists in Nigeria, army and police uniform or security in our territory, they need to know they're occupying a foreign land and they need to leave. We must protect our land against foreign invaders. Like I said, our defense department will continue to expand and fortify the angels that are protecting our land in the 40 states.
Thank you very much, our Deputy Prime Minister, Her Excellency Dr. Ngozi Orabueze. Fellow Biafrans, you've heard it. Simon Ekpa had a structure. Our Prime Minister, Simon Ekpa, had a structure. In that structure, he made Dr. Ngozi Orabueze his chief of staff. In that structure, Simon Ekpa made sure there was no deputy prime minister. While he was here with us, none of you asked him that question. How come there's no deputy? What happens if you're on holiday? What happens if you go out on a mission to do some few things for a couple of weeks or days? What happens? How come there's no deputy? What happens if the zoo did what they did to Nnamdi Kanu to you? And we find you next in that zoo called Nigeria. What happens? You told us how they came to kidnap you in Finland. How they were sending suicide bombers, terrorists to come down to Finland to take your life. So what happens in your absence? None of you asked those questions, those pertinent questions. None of you asked those questions. You were happy with the structure that Simon Ekpa has laid down. It was a deliberate structure. He made sure there was no deputy prime minister. But in that structure, he had a chief of staff. And the role of the chief of staff is to oversee all the affairs of all the ministers in that department. Those with portfolio, those without portfolio. It means those with office and those without office. And the role of the chief of staff is also to report to the prime minister the situation on ground. Her job is to check the pulse of those in government, the ministers, cabinet members, and the rest of them. And she reports to the prime minister. But also, in the absence of the prime minister. I'm saying this thing because some of you are doing this stuff. You claim you live in the Western world. I'm hearing some of your name. Some of you are professors. You are doctors. PhD holders in the Western world. But suddenly you are now behaving like you are from that shithole called Nigeria. You know the meaning of a structure of a government. You understand organogram, how things are. We have seen the organogram of the then Biafra Republic government in exile. At the apex is Prime Minister Simon Ekpa. Second in command is Dr. Ngozi Orabueze, being the chief of staff. Then on a parallel line are those you have known as the ministers. They are all equal. There is no more special minister than the other. I don't care if you're minister for sports, finance, whatever role you are, all ministers, they are equal. The only person higher than them is the chief of staff. Because they are all staff. They are all public servants to the people. But there is somebody that oversees their affairs. The eye of the prime minister is the chief of staff in the government. And in the absence of the prime minister, the chief of staff will step in as an acting prime minister or a deputy prime minister. It's all about the words you prefer to use, semantics. You can call her the acting prime minister or the deputy prime minister. But that's the role of a chief of staff. That is not the role of a minister. Because all the members of, all the ministers are equal in their level. So how come it's only one minister that is being stubborn, trying to run a new government? It's a bit strange to me. And I want to believe in the judgment of Simon Ekpa. The Obatobie I know. I want to believe in his judgment. That he must have assessed the capacity of his chief of staff before appointing Dr. Ngozi Orabueze as his chief of staff. She is the eye of the government. She is the eye of the prime minister in his cabinet. So sometimes I just wonder, where this misunderstanding is coming from, where this miscommunication is coming from. We were all in love with her when she declared Biafra on the 29th of November. Everything was fine. We were all happy. We were jubilating. But suddenly, you have allowed one member of the ministers, one of the ministers, to go rogue, to play the role of a new sheriff in town. You've allowed one minister to go against the chief of staff to the Biafrans. I hope you understand what you are doing, because Simon Ekpa will be so embarrassed when he comes back and see that a structure he laid on the ground, black and white. Simon always told you what you don't know is bigger than you. In the last few days he was here with us, he told us, I have no friends. I have no friends. I am not your friend in this movement. You are only here to serve, to bring and restore Biafra. I have no friends. But suddenly I've been hearing people saying, oh, my boss, Simon Ekpa, my boss. They've not called him my leader or my prime minister. They say, my boss. Those words are jargons. You don't call your prime minister your boss. You call him my leader. You call him my leader. If you really love him, you will call him my leader. His Excellency. When you are referring to him, it's so funny that me from the outside, in every video I do, you keep on hearing me say, may God bless His Excellency, the Prime Minister of the Biafra Republic Government in Exile, His Excellency, ESN, Ekpa, Simon Njoko. I was the only one calling him His Excellency in all my videos. Despite I am an independent media. But those in the media of Simon Ekpa, those in the media of the government, those with portfolio, they refuse to call him His Excellency. They call him my PM, my PM, with a slogan, my PM. Our PM has said this. No respect in the position of Simon Ekpa. I could smell it. I knew something was up all this while because it was a bit funny. Me not being in the cabinet, I'm the one calling this man His Excellency. In all my introduction, you hear me say it. May God bless Biafra. May God bless His Excellency Oyendo Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and may God bless His Excellency, the Prime Minister of the Biafra Republic Government in Exile, His Excellency ESN Ekpa Simon Njoku. I'm the only one calling all his alias as he has told us to be doing. Some still call him Simon Ekpa, but he told you his name is ESN Ekpa Simon Njoku. To the Biafrans out there, I understand some of you in the local, probably you are still blind to the truth. You are still blind to it. You claim you know Simon Ekpa, but now, in the 11th hour, you are now judging Simon Ekpa. You no longer trust his judgment anymore. A man who told you what you don't know is bigger than you, then you should know that everything happening now, he foresaw it. That was why he said he will not have any deputy prime minister. Because if he had had a deputy prime minister, and what is happening now, then it means the zoo, they will have their way. All they have to do is kidnap the relatives, the cousin, the family, the siblings of the deputy prime minister in that zoo. And before you know it, the deputy prime minister will be singing a different tune, which was why he refused to have a deputy prime minister. He said, no, in this hierarchy, it's going to be me, prime minister, next will be the chief of staff. And that chief of staff must be somebody that Simon Ekpa trusts with his life. With his life. With his life. And while this is going on, suddenly, people are now against the deputy prime minister for the first time. When Simon was here, nobody was going against her. When Simon sent her to some international assignments, those who are here now, they didn't go against it. Although some of them, they were envious, but that was her role. She was going to those places to represent Simon Ekpa. South Korea, different countries she went to represent the prime minister. She was the one representing the prime minister on international affairs. My people, trust me, I am somebody that cannot make mistake. I am somebody that don't make mistake. So if I'm telling you that for right now, we must go according to the judgment of Simon Ekpa. For the fact he made Dr. Ngozi Orabueze his chief of staff. And there is no deputy prime minister in the hierarchy of things. It means it was a deliberate attempt. It was a deliberate attempt by the prime minister. You saw what happened in the case of Nnamdi Kanu, where he had technically a deputy. And we saw what that man did, the one they call the sleeping DJ. We saw what he did. Till this day, he's still going against against Nnamdi Kanu. So Simon Ekpa learned from that story. He learned from the actions and inactions of Uche Memefo against Nnamdi Kanu. Because of that, what he did was to make sure the position of the deputy prime minister was vacant. But next to it was the chief of staff. And the role of the chief of staff is to be an eye of the prime minister in the cabinet. And if anything should happen to the prime minister, according to the hierarchy of things, the one that has been keeping the eye on the enemy, the one that's been keeping an eye on the cabinet, will now be the one to step into that position of an acting prime minister or a deputy prime minister. And guess what? He or she will know those who are wolves in sheep clothing. She will know the saboteurs in the government or the cabinet. She will know those who have the interest of the caliphate. She will know those who are against the government of Simon Ekpa. What Simon Ekpa did was genius. Very, very smart of him. But somehow, the gullible ones, they are falling now. They've allowed one minister with a portfolio, with an office, to somehow assume the position of the deputy prime minister. You've allowed one minister who is not above the chief of staff to now play the role as if they have this power from the constitution to speak over the chief of staff or to operate above the chief of staff. Very, very sad. Biafrans, it's time for you guys to smell the coffee and wake up. Smell the coffee and wake up. Do not let Simon Ekpa down. You must support the chief of staff. And if what you do goes wrong in the end, you will blame it on Simon Ekpa because that was the choice of Simon Ekpa. You will tell him, Obatobie, I'm sorry, but you were the one that made this lady your chief of staff. And according to the hierarchy of things, all across the whole world, once you are not around and there is no deputy, the only person that can step in to be an acting prime minister or a deputy prime minister is the chief of staff. There will be no voting in that situation. So those saying, oh, there was no voting to be a leader. No, no, no. As long as you have a chief of staff, she steps in. There will be no voting in that situation. Follow who no road. Biafrans, make una follow who no road. I know why I gave them 3 weeks to go in-house and solve their problem. Because normally it is a normal thing in the government. Even in a brand new country, once you get your independence, you are bound to have an in-house fighting, in-house squabble. All the stakeholders with their selfish interests will come into play. They want to be the most influential. They want to have the lion's share. And sometimes in the grievance, they can have what they call a civil war. It means an in-house fighting. It happened in India. It happened in India. As soon as Britain left, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, they fought and they had to go their ways. People died. It's only in that shithole called Nigeria, because you got your independence in a plate of gold, in a conny way. Till this day, they are shouting, one Nigeria, one Nigeria, one Nigeria. Even though they are subjugating a particular tribe, they say one Nigeria because they are criminally minded. And Britain has not left. Britain is the owner of Nigeria. That's why they keep on shouting, one Nigeria. The only country in this world that will put one in their name. I rest my case. For those that have ears, let them hear. For those that have ears, let them hear. This is the last week of grace I've given you guys. This is the last week. From next week, I will bring out the beast in me. And I'll go hardcore on all the enemies of Simon Ekpa. This is your last week. The third week of grace. From next week, I will bring out the beast in me. I rest my case.